don't want to die with a dick on my face.
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. Today we get a chance to explore an entirely new knife brand. And this is one that you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to going forward because I've seen a lot of the stuff they have in store and it's amazing. This may be the most classic and basic of all the knives they have coming out. And I'm telling you right now, even this one is going to blow your mind. Start here with what's in the packaging. This is an aluminum COA card. Model is the Cheetah, made of M390 and titanium, and it was done in collaboration with Tuya Knife. Very cool. Comes inside of your microfiber bag, and oh, yeah. Simply put, I like everything about this knife. Let's get all this stuff out of the way and talk a little bit about it. Now, Vanguard Knives is an all-new knife brand owned by Patrick Holenstein in Switzerland, who also owns PMP Knives. Now, you guys know PMP Knives, and they're known for their absurd, crazy, overdone, overbuilt, super thick, super large knives that have completely changed the landscape of the knife collecting community over the past few years. Now, you guys know this knife, but you don't know this particular configuration, and I don't want to show that to you yet because that is going to be a separate video. Put that off to the side. And I'm pretty sure if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you guys know that I am a massive fan of PMP Knives. I love what they do, and they're pretty much the only oversized brand of knives that I still enjoy, because to me, that's kind of a thing that came and went, and it was great while it lasted. It was a lot of fun, but I don't find a lot of the overbuilt knife brands or makers out there really making anything that excites me beyond just being big and dumb. And what Patrick has been able to do is offer some crazy designs, extraordinarily well made, to the point where you don't even care what the size or thickness of the knife is. You just revel in how great it feels, how great the action is, how remarkable the cutting ability is, even on ridiculous stuff like this. And you just go, I've got a really good knife here. And it performs far beyond what I would have expected this kind of gimmick to really be. And that's what he does really, really, really well. But what he wanted to do was create an all-new brand, knives that are more classic, a bit more elegant in some of them, and more practical, completely separate from PMP, which again is all about big, beefy, and over the top. Now, instead of diluting the PMP brand by offering some more practical models under the PMP umbrella, he wanted to keep that brand focused and then create a new brand that will also be focused on key design elements all its own. Now, this one is a special collaboration with Kevin over at Tuya Knife. And I know you're waiting for me to say it. You're waiting for me to acknowledge it. Waiting for me to point out that the overall design kind of looks like... But no, I won't do it. What I will say is this. What an excellent practical blade shape for absolutely everything you might ever need a knife for. And I appreciate the neutral ergonomics of the handle. And what makes it a bit more special? No, not the inlay, which I really do like. It's the ceramic bearings and the ceramic detent that make for a crazy fast, crazy smooth, and snappy flicking action. And yes, you're encouraged to flick it. Can you still slow roll it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If that's what you prefer.
Oh, yeah, Daddy.
But a lot of us have dreamed of this kind of design with that kind of action. And now we've got it. And the only other time we saw that in a production knife or a semi-custom, they were extraordinarily expensive and very, 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 very difficult to get on the list for. And they were front flippers. And not all of us like front flippers. So to get this, and I want to say the price is $250. I'm not 100% sure. I remember that it was under $300, and $250 is what's in my head. So we're going to roll with that, okay? But you can double check my numbers if you'd like, because they're going to be available, and you can check them right now. White Mountain Knives, DLT Trading, and Tools for Gents. If I were to point you in only one direction, I know it's going to sound weird because they're in Germany, and that adds a little tiny bit to your shipping time. Not nearly as much as you would expect, by the way. I would say buy from Tools for Gents. Love those guys. Richard and his crew over there, they are knife guys like us. They live for knives. They love knives. And most of what they offer is stuff that they personally chose because they like the designs. They like the practicality or the usefulness or whatever that feature was in the knife they chose. They stock it because they love it. And they've had a great relationship with Patrick at PMP Knives for a good long time. Now, yeah, it's coming from Germany, but you'll get it in like 4 or 5 days. It's nuts how fast they ship. But if you do want to order from a US-based retailer, DLT and White Mountain, excellent places to shop from. And you could double check the price there. It should be, I don't know why I'm getting the hiccups all of a sudden. Yeah, I do. I downed that coffee in record time, which also means I might have to take a break to go to the bathroom. So excuse me if I do that. I will try to remember to turn the microphone off. Oh man, I dig this. A lot of people love this overall shape, this overall profile, and this overall size, and have never been able to afford the knives that have made this look famous. And now I think most everybody can. Now, it's a little bit, not a little bit, it is thinner in the titanium. And I want to make sure everybody's aware of this. I do wish the titanium frame was thicker. I'll put that out there. And it has seemingly thinner blade stock. I also love the way they crowned the spine, by the way. Not something you often see in this price range. Another thing that you don't really ever see in this price range is a full hand-rubbed satin blade, and very, very nicely done, by the way. Dual thumb studs. It's not just a thumb stud on one side. Nice solid lockup that's not a 50% plus lockup. Those of you more serious collectors among us know why I said that. And you've got a nice relief cut here that makes it very easy to get to the textured frame lock. Very easy to get to it. But yeah, I wish that the titanium was a little bit thicker. I wish the knife overall was a little bit heavier. This only weighs 4.1 ounces, which for most people, honestly, is going to be perfect because that means it's really lightweight and really easy to carry. Also, being slim makes it easy to carry as well. So as far as carrying it in the pocket, it's a dream. It just doesn't feel as robust, let's put it that way. As if it would have had the thicker titanium and thicker blade, it would have been a little bit more robust. But again, they're doing these to be very, very different from what they do at PMP. So perhaps if everything was a little bit thicker, Patrick might have gone, it's not different enough from PMP to be into that separate brand yet. So I don't know. I can't read people's minds. I do really dig the look of the pivot, by the way. I'm not crazy about how it feels because you can kind of feel the edges of it a little bit. Now, they're not sharp. I wouldn't expect that they're going to cut you. And honestly, if you're doing a pinch grip for any kind of cutting, when you're pinching on it, it's almost like jimping. Your thumb, for sure, locks in and doesn't move because it kind of grabs the flesh. But it's a little tiny bit sharp, and some people may not appreciate that. But overall, the build quality is fantastic. The finish is great. I'm not usually one that appreciates a full-length backspacer, but this full-length titanium backspacer looks really, really good. And that adds a little bit of heft to the knife that I think that it really, really needed. If this knife was about 5 ounces, I think it would give you that feel like I could take on the world. You know, there's just something about it. I really love the action of this thing. Oh, man. And, by the way, a lot of people are going to comment immediately on the pocket clip because it's a much shorter pocket clip than you would be expecting. It's also a milled titanium pocket clip. There's nothing cheap looking or cheap feeling about it. What I will say is this, it has a lot of tension. And if you're wearing jeans, it's a little bit challenging, or any kind of pants that have a very thick double sewn lip around the pocket. It's a little bit challenging to kind of pop into there because this ramp isn't graduated enough. It's a very obtuse angle. So you do have to kind of give it that little push and then stab to get into the pocket, and then a good hard jerk to get it out. So it's effective. It's definitely not going to come out of your pocket by accident. It's a conscious effort. And because of that, I would have liked to have seen a lanyard opening, just because those of you that like to have a lanyard to pop out a somewhat harder pocket clip might have found that a little bit easier. But I've only got a couple of tiny nitpicks about this whole knife, honestly. I think overall it's just awesome. It feels so good in the hand. It's got a great, very, very thin, very slicey grind. I don't know if you can quite make that out, but it is very thin and very slicey on that flat grind. It's going to be a good, solid performer. And you've got the sharpening notch on there, so it's easier for you to maintain your edge over the years. I think it's time to give a quick thank you to this video's sponsor. And that sponsor is me. Yeah, I don't do the whole sponsor thing. I'm not saying I'm above it, but I don't do it. Just to let you guys know, and I did a collaboration with Fanatic Edge Knives on my Caladan model. And if you're interested in something wild, different, and very, very limited, we made 2, and only 2, in this splinter camo Cerakote variation of the Caladan. And they are available on my website right now. Only 2 are there, and they're the only 2 that were ever made. So if you want something unique, you like my Caladan model, you like the ergonomics, and you love the way that Tuya did the action, yes, and that's why I brought this out, because Tuya. I love Tuya Knife. So I am today's sponsor. As long as a couple of you buy the knives, then it will have paid for doing the video. Okay. Now, see, no big long ad read. I'm not going to make you play a mobile app game or anything like that. Who is this knife for? Number one, it is going to be for that higher end collector that you're looking for that classic, everyday, perfect EDC knife that was just unfortunately just a touch beyond your financial reach. And that may have even been back, 7, 8 years ago when they were, $425, $450 in a plain Jane model. Now they're like $600 or something. I haven't shopped for one for a while. They've gotten very, very, very expensive, and for upgrades that a lot of people felt they didn't need. Anyway, not going to get into that. It's still one of my absolute favorites. I'm certainly not ever going to trash it. But this gives you that familiar feeling of something that you've always wanted, but for whatever reason never got. And it gives you that modern, snappy, fast action with a very smooth not drop free, but smooth dropping action. And you've got the inlays. The times that you're able to see inlays in this style of knife usually costs a lot of money. This is in a standard 2x2 twill carbon fiber. So you've still got that nice three-dimensional kind of wavy look to it without it being a crazy expensive carbon fiber. And, as is my favorite way of doing things, they put an inlay on the backside, on the frame, instead of being a plain titanium frame lock like 98% of all other titanium frame locks on the market. Looks really, really good. In case you're wondering on the technical stuff, yes, it does have an over-travel stop for the titanium lock bar, and it does have a steel lock insert, so you have steel on steel instead of titanium on steel at the lockup. So that lock should never migrate, and it should never gall and stick because you have steel on steel lockup. The action, as I mentioned a million times, is fantastic. The thumb ramp with the jimping, this is undercut jimping. So if you're going this way, it's kind of smooth. But if you're going this way, the meat of your thumb gets grabbed. Gets grabbed? Is that the way you would say it? Well, I don't know. It's very grabby and it grips the flesh, and it's fan-friggin-tastic. That is some of the best fine jimping you're ever going to feel in any price range. It's done very, very well. It's got a nice reinforced tip. It doesn't get down to be overly delicate. And you cannot hit that tip in any way, even if you jam your finger. I mean, you really would have to jam your finger in there to catch that tip. No worries about that whatsoever. And now that I am a bleeder, I have that concern. I listened for so many years, people complaining about,
oh, I can jam my finger unnecessarily into the frame and catch the heel of the edge, or I can catch the tip of the blade. And ouchies, I got ouchies.
Now I get it. Now that I'm a bleeder, now that I'm on blood thinners and I have to worry about every little thing, I don't want to get cut because I don't want to bleed out and die. Little things like that. Now I see where that concern has come from. So I am kind of more on the lookout for that myself these days when I'm evaluating knives for purchase. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the Cheetah. This is a brand, the Vanguard Knives is a brand that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Go look at their Instagram, which has been on the screen this entire video in case you haven't realized it. They are doing some collaborations with my good friend, Jeff Blauvelt. You guys know him as Tough Knives, or way, way back in the YouTube early days, glory days of knife tubing, Tough Thumbs. Some of the coolest designs that he makes as customs, Vanguard is going to be offering in production models. And I would expect the quality to be amazing. I would expect the action to be effortless, just like the Cheetah. But I would expect the price to probably be a little bit higher. Now, the cool thing is, Patrick is very aware of pricing. That's why the PMPs, they never get ridiculous. Okay, I don't want to say never. One did get very, very high, but it was crazy materials. But he knows what people want because he's a knife lover himself, and he knows what people want to spend. So keep your eye on the brand. I'm going to do my best to have as many under my lens as possible. I've already told Patrick, I'm like, anything you're doing with Jeff, I have to have. I absolutely have to have. Really, really respect Jeff. Love Jeff. He's been a good friend of mine for over a decade. And I also love his work. I love his design work. I love his execution, his crazy artist mind. And I'm excited to see what happens when these two get together. Another thing that you want to be aware of is what Patrick is aiming to do with Vanguard. Like right now, this is made overseas, Far East. This is made in China. But he is planning this integration of his business model with worldwide manufacturing. He's looking at manufacturing in the US and in Switzerland where he lives so that you're able to get different, I don't want to say different levels of quality because the quality on this is stupid. It's great. But he wants to satisfy those people that just don't want to hear that word anymore. I don't want to hear China. Okay, fine, whatever, dude. I get it. Not arguing it. So he wants to expand out and do true worldwide manufacturing. So the more successful these early models are, the quicker he's going to be able to do that. And yeah, this is going to be in my pocket a lot. To me, it's the perfect size, which we really haven't gone over yet. But I did have it in the beginning of the video there. 3 1/4 inch blade, 7.68 inches overall. Really, really good size for everyday carry. It's already been in my pocket. It's going to go right back in my pocket as soon as I stop rolling here. And it's probably not going to leave for a while. It's one of those perfect fit EDC knives. And I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited about the brand. And I'm super excited to be one of the few that got one of these early. I know Stassa, go check out Stassa23, my good buddy Nick. He's already shown one in a video. I don't think he's done a full review yet, but he showed it with a few other knives. I know Jared over at Knives Knives also did showcase this among other knives. And it's every bit as good as you want it to be. You're looking at this going, I really dig that, but I'm worried at only $250. Is it going to be what I have in my head? Yeah, I think it will be. I think it's not only going to live up to whatever it is that you want, I think it's probably going to exceed your expectations, because I had an idea of it when I saw the first pictures on their Instagram. And I'm like, well, I know why I like it, but, how'd they execute it? How does it feel in the hand? How's the finishing? How's the inlay? How's the action? And I gotta say, I'm super stoked. I think it's just damn awesome. So anyway, here's to what may end up being one of your favorite EDC style knives of the year. It's certainly going to end up in my top picks for the year. I feel it already. And until next time, when the next new models come out, I'll be sitting here waiting with bated breath.